Wall Street rallies after the U.S. and China declare a 90-day truce on trade. Still, some business owners in the West say they're struggling to manage economic uncertainty after tariffs.
A lot of raises in the pricing, which causes us to have to raise the prices for our client.
Good evening. Welcome to West Coast Wrap. I'm Crystal Bailey. And some people worry President Trump's effort to de-escalate his trade war with China is too little, too late, but Wall Street appears to feel good about it. Stock prices soared on news of the 90-day deal with China. The Dow closed the day up 1,160 points. That's a gain of nearly 3%. The Nasdaq performed better, adding 779 points. That's over 4%. And the S&P 500 jumped 184 points, or more than 3%. In the new temporary trade truce, the U.S. agreed to drop its 145% tax on Chinese imports to 30%. China is dropping tariffs from 125% to 10%.
I think it's going to be fantastic for China. I think it's going to be fantastic for us. And I think it's going to be great for unification and peace.
The overall 10% tariff on imports remains in place for the U.S. trading partners, with higher reciprocal tariffs on a number of countries and industries. Some business owners say the temporary truce allows them to plan better for the holiday shopping season.
At 30%, now goods can begin to flow. Doesn't mean that it won't cost us some profit to try to absorb some of it. Doesn't mean that prices won't go up for the consumer. But it will mean that the flow of products, whether it's back-to-school merchandise, Halloween merchandise, or toys and gifts for the holidays, Christmas holidays, that merchandise will start to flow. So we'll Christmas will be saved.
Many business owners in the West say uncertainty over the president's economic policy keeps them on edge. Fox's Sunny Sai spoke with some of them in Las Vegas.
Quite frankly, it's a snowball effect from the 25% tariffs on imported cars and car parts. If parts are more expensive or take longer to import, then cars will cost more money and time to repair. Nevada has some of the highest auto insurance rates in the country, and this isn't news drivers or body shops want to hear.
We can only do so much in order to survive because we still have overhead and bills and things that we have to pay.
Eric Randolph is the co-owner of Izzy's Auto. His shop has been dealing with the side effects of the tariffs firsthand.
There's been a lot of raises in the pricing, which causes us to have to raise the prices for our clients.
The higher prices are a result of a trickle-down effect from the original supplier.
You have the actual supplier, then the supplier goes to the vendor, then the vendor sells to the different shops and customers, so then their prices are raised, and then when it reaches the consumer, by the time it's about 100 to maybe 110% markup just for the stores, the small businesses to make a profit.
Not only are prices higher for foreign car parts, but there's also a slowdown in the supply chain.
That vehicle that we're working on, we were supposed to have the part within 2 to 3 days. We're at a 4-week holdup right now.
Increasing car parts prices goes hand in hand with your insurance bill.
When you get into an accident, your insurer often has to pay to replace the auto part. And if auto parts are more expensive because it comes from out of the country, then those costs often get passed on to consumers.
And those higher prices could affect what people are driving.
More people cannot afford to pretty much go out and buy a car, so they have to depend on rental services.
Even though DeAndre Johnson's car rental company is also dealing with long waits and higher prices, the shop has actually seen a demand in business.
It caused us to have more customers. It also drove, like I said, it drove our business valuation up, so our business is automatically worth more now because car prices are up.
Insurance experts say insurance companies can't raise rates overnight, and most customers won't see changes to their bills until the end of the year at the earliest. In Las Vegas, Sunny Sai, Fox News.
And you can find extensive coverage of President Trump's trade policies on our website, westcoastrav.com. Our online coverage includes a look at how the new trade deal is having a ripple effect on the price of crude oil and gold. And a new executive order from President Trump is meant to compel large pharmaceutical companies to lower drug prices. But Americans are unlikely to see any immediate savings. The sweeping executive order sets a 30-day deadline for drug makers to electively order the cost of prescription drugs. If they don't, the companies will face new limits down the road over how much the government will pay for drugs covered by Medicare and Medicaid. The White House hasn't offered any specifics for how much money it anticipates Americans could save on medications.
For the first time in many years, we'll slash the cost of prescription drugs, and we will bring fairness to America. Drug prices will come down by much more.
The executive order is expected to receive pushback from the pharmaceutical industry, which argues any loss in profit will slow down research and innovation. President Trump signed a similar order at the end of his first term, but it was blocked by a court order. And newly released drone video shows young boys in an armed standoff with deputies in Albuquerque, New Mexico. The incident involving a 7-year-old and a 9-year-old happened back in February. You can see in the video the boys appear to be hiding behind something next to a building. They passed a gun back and forth to each other during the standoff. Investigators say the weapon malfunctioned when one of the boys tried to shoot. The boys surrendered after what appears to be a beanbag or rubber ball was fired in their direction. Investigators have not said how the boys got the gun. No one was arrested, and the sheriff's office believes this case highlights the work of its behavioral health unit and drone program. And an AI-generated video used in an Arizona courtroom is drawing new criticism. The video allowed a man who died in a road rage incident to confront his killer. Fox 10's Lauren Clark reports the defendant's attorney says the use of this AI is unfair.
I would like to make my own impact statement.
The unthinkable happening in an Arizona courtroom.
To Gabriel Horcasitas, the man who shot me. It is a shame we encountered each other that day in those circumstances.
Victim Chris Pelkey speaking directly to the man accused of killing him at his sentencing. Technology breathing a man's gestures and voice to life from beyond the grave.
I am a version of Chris Pelkey recreated through AI that uses my picture and my voice profile.
Pelkey's sister Stacy helped create the video.
I have my own thoughts and feelings about how much time I wanted the sentence to be.
That's why she said she had the video say what Chris would have.
I believe in forgiveness and in God who forgives.
But others fear using this technology is stretching beyond the ethical and moral boundaries.
Human beings have thoughts, feelings, and emotions. And no matter how much we try to simulate that with AI, it's simply not authentic.
Jason Lamb is the attorney representing Gabriel Horcasitas, the man convicted in Pelkey's death. He's now filed an appeal.
It's just simply inauthentic to put the words in the mouth of the likeness. It's much like Geppetto putting words in Pinocchio's mouth. And those words were a stark contrast from the reality that numerous witnesses testify to.
It's not unusual for victim impact statements to involve a photo gallery or PowerPoints or a video like this one also shown in court. But Lamb says AI is very different.
It's one thing to show a photo or a video where we have some indicia of reliability and authenticity. But when it comes to AI, you can make a likeness that's presented, in this case to a court, say absolutely anything you want, however untethered it is to the facts and reality.
That was Fox 10's Lauren Clark reporting. Horcasitas was sentenced to 10.5 years in prison for manslaughter.
I have to do something about this. I cannot let this happen to somebody else.
A homeowner left horrified after seeing hundreds of teenagers partying at her house. She says they broke in to throw this so-called mansion party. Tonight, she launches her own effort to find everyone caught on camera.
And let's head live to Tucson, Arizona, where the average high temperature is 91, but no, it was much hotter than that today. Plus, what you need to know about the Arizona forecast. West Coast Wrap forecast is coming up.
And Colorado zoo workers celebrating something they haven't seen in 13 years. After the break. Videos showing hundreds of kids partying at a home near Las Vegas are getting a lot of attention on social media. The problem, the homeowner says she knew nothing about the so-called mansion party until she got a call from police. That homeowner says she was out of town when teenagers broke into her house Saturday to throw the party, and now thousands of hundreds of dollars are in damage left behind. Fox 5's Molly McBride reports it's not the first time this has happened in Las Vegas Valley.
10:30 last Saturday night, Jamie Lewis gets a call from police asking if she's having a party.
And of course I said no. And to be fair, I really thought it was a fake call.
It's not until she gets a call from neighbors she realizes what's unfolding in her very own home.
Seeing the videos and realizing that we needed to get home. We needed to cut our trip short.
Lewis posted this video on her Facebook page, showing an estimated 200 teenagers in her home, on her countertops, partying. after she says they kicked in a garage door and made themselves at home.
The feeling of being, first of all, vandalized, and then just 1,000% being violated is something that you just don't ever want to have to deal with.
Metro police arrive and the teens scramble, some jumping Lewis's back fence and into neighbor Joe Neal's backyard.
77 years old, and to hear a bunch of noise and look in your backyard and it looks like there's a hell of a party going on and you weren't invited.
One even pushing him aside as they cut his side fence to evade police.
Who comes to a party and brings bolt cutters? They're not somebody wanting to party. Somebody wanted to steal.
Lewis tells me she filed a report with Metro Police, but she's taking it into her own hands to figure out the identity of the teens involved by posting this video online.
I have to do something about this. I cannot let this happen to somebody else.
And turns out it has. Lewis says since sharing her story online, she's heard similar stories from across the valley.
It's called a mansion party, and these kids go from house to house to house, sometimes multiple houses in the same night. They charge money at the door, they bring in a DJ.
She says she doesn't know how the group knew her home would be empty. She's hoping by sharing her story, she stops this from happening to anybody else.
And just to be vigilant for your property. If you see a strange car, if there's too many kids in your neighborhood, something feels off, call the police right away.
That was Fox 5's Molly McBride reporting. Police officers issued 2 citations while responding to a juvenile disturbance at the house. Their investigation is ongoing. Now to a legal case where people watching across the country, including here in the West, the federal sex trafficking trial of music mogul Sean Diddy Combs has wrapped its first day. In opening statements, prosecutors alleged Combs used violence, threats, and drugs to force women into sex acts over 2 decades. The jury also saw hotel surveillance video of Combs attacking singer Cassie, who was expected to testify. The defense admitted Combs had violent outbursts, but argued no federal crimes were committed.
And then we started hearing from witnesses, and the testimony is already explosive. They spoke with somebody who said they were a sex worker that had actually been hired by Diddy to have a sexual relationship with Cassie, Diddy's ex-girlfriend, who obviously is a star in her own right. And they got into a lot of lurid details during that testimony.
And Combs is pleading not guilty and faces life in prison if convicted. And strong winds are challenging firefighters northeast of Tucson, Arizona today. They're complicating efforts to get to the upper hand on the Bryce fire. That wildfire started last week in Graham County. It's charred nearly 3,000 acres and is about 25% contained tonight. Investigators believe people caused it. Let's bring in KTVU meteorologist Roberta Gonzalez, who's tracking red flag warnings in that region and other conditions across the West. Roberta?
Hi there, and good evening to you. Where you see the shades of a kind of a light brown here, that's where we have fire alerts in effect. But where you see the red areas, we're talking anywhere from Arizona through Mexico. We do have red flag warnings in effect tonight still as the winds continue to blow pretty mightily anywhere from Tucson all the way into Sierra Vista. We do include Benson in that, as well as Tombstone, pretty much the Mexican border. These winds will begin to back off a little bit tomorrow morning before ramping back up during the afternoon hours. Don't be surprised if we see yet more alerts anywhere from portions of Southern California through Nevada into New Mexico, Arizona, and also into Utah. Meanwhile, to the north, the Pacific Northwest, a little smattering of precipitation from Washington through Oregon and heftier amounts around that northwestern quadrant of the state of California. Today in Seattle, only 2/100ths of an inch of rain with a daytime high not bad at all, above average at 67 degrees. But it was below average in San Francisco. Typically should be at 64, today 62, with 15/100ths of an inch of rain. Los Angeles, even though you had that high, thin, chilled of cloudiness, cirrus clouds, average high 74, and bam, that's what you experienced today. And then we head to Phoenix, where your average high is 90, but instead triple digits, and that coupled up with the gusty winds did lead to that red flag warning in portions of Arizona. Typically this time of the year, again, 90 degrees. The record for this state is 109 that was established back in 1996. All right. High temperatures today. Other notable numbers, 95 degrees in Palm Springs. Otherwise, it was 75 degrees in the midsection of California, right around the state capital. And to the north, 63 degrees in Redding, where we had the abundance of rain showers at Mount Shasta over the weekend. Now, currently, we have 58 degrees in San Francisco, 63 in Los Angeles, and 83 degrees right there in Las Vegas. It's now 82 degrees in Salt Lake City. And your forecast for the next 3 days, we begin to cloud back up again on Tuesday with yet another approaching area low pressure, but no rain is in the offing for Wednesday. We clear out to the city by the bay, the city of San Francisco, and temperatures slightly above normal for this time of the year. Pretty seasonal in Los Angeles. Phoenix, your temperatures coming down, and so will the winds. That's certainly good news. Winds do begin to increase around the Mile High City of Denver. Have a great Tuesday, everyone.
All right, thank you, Roberta. And in Arizona, a new bill would require hotels to notify guests if they're housing homeless individuals and block cities from using public funds to pay for temporary shelter in hotels. KSAZ reporter Ashley Rodriguez has more.
Independent 47 Hotel on Pima Road used to save a couple of rooms for homeless senior citizens and families at the expense of Scottsdale taxpayers. But residents complained.
Again, it's warehousing people, and it's this vicious circle where people move throughout the social services system and not get the real healing that they need.
He's tried a statewide ban before, but this legislative session, the House and Senate are on board with HB 2803, which stops these city and state-funded bridge programs and also forces hotels who do take in the homeless to post signs and warnings on their websites. Homeless people are housed inside and to lock their doors and safely store their belongings.
I think that there is a general notion with this bill that being homeless somehow makes you more dangerous. But if I am a woman with kids, seniors, veterans, youth who are on their own, these are the sorts of places that create safety.
The Arizona Housing Coalition points to rural areas like Cochise County that only have one shelter, or Mesa, who currently pays the Windermere Hotel to provide rooms to the unsheltered.
It doesn't work is because you can't control the facility. Otherwise, you're going to see drugs pass in and out very easily. And then you're also going to put the general public, they could be at risk.
Gress says the state should be investing in emergency and transitional shelters where people can be supervised, treated, and tracked.
Hotels are a place where we can prevent, at least temporarily, until we can connect people to more suitable shelter and the supports they need to build their lives to a place where they can thrive on their own.
Now, Rep. Gress is expecting Governor Hobbs to veto this bill, but he says he's not going to quit trying because the issue of the homeless and where to put them isn't ending anytime soon. In Phoenix, Ashley Rodriguez, Fox 10 News.
And Customs and Border Patrol may be planning to take a picture of everyone who crosses the Canadian or Mexican border by car. It would compare those photos to passports and visas to ensure everyone in the car is who they say they are. The Department of Homeland Security says it already does this for people coming into the country on planes, boats, and on foot. The agency is currently testing how this would work, since it would need to take a picture of everyone in a car before clearing the vehicle. And tonight, planning for a rare birth in the West, we'll take you to a Colorado zoo, hoping to welcome something they haven't seen in more than a decade.
We've been seeing things like the baby doing little flips in her belly, which is pretty cool and cute to see.
Mexico is suing Google over the Gulf of Mexico name change. Mexico's President Claudia Sheinbaum announced today her government is suing the tech giant for changing the name of Gulf of Mexico for American users of Google Maps to the Gulf of America. Now, Mexico previously sent official letters requesting Google not to make the name change. Google Maps refers to the body of water as the Gulf of Mexico everywhere else in the world except the U.S. And in the run-up to the busy summer travel season, the Trump administration and airlines are working to reassure travelers it's safe to fly. Air traffic controllers guiding planes into New Jersey's Newark Airport had an outage for the third time in less than 2 weeks over the weekend. A combination of technology issues and runway construction is forcing major airlines to reduce flights at the major hub. Now, Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy says the Trump administration has a plan to upgrade the system.
If Congress approves our plan, the president's plan, to build a brand new air traffic control system, work at Newark is going to be a priority. We will do that first.
And Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer has called for an investigation. Meantime, airlines say they're confident air traffic control systems are safe.
When these kind of outages happen, we train for them. We have backup procedures. We have backups to backups to backups to keep the sky safe, which is always the #1 priority.
And I have asked the Office of Inspector General to thoroughly investigate what's going on at Newark and in the East Coast so these problems don't get worse and spread all across the nation.
And AAA expects more than 3.6 million Americans will fly over Memorial Day weekend. And finally tonight, a Colorado zoo just revealed a secret it's been keeping for months. Fox 11's Carolyn Felling tells us about zookeepers keeping something special that hasn't happened in nearly 13 years.
Right behind me is Asha. She is 32 years old and is currently 6 to 8 months pregnant. She's expecting her third child this summer.
We found out she was pregnant in December of 2024, a couple days before Christmas, so it was a great Christmas present to all of us.
Despite what you might think, just like any other expecting mom, she too has to have ultrasounds.
She has a very round belly, so we have to get it pretty much really up under there, and we're able to see the baby. We have to use a fair amount of gel because she has quite a bit of hair, as a gorilla does.
And just like any pregnancy, Asha has been enjoying her cravings, and for her, it's onions.
We've even seen things like the baby doing little flips in her belly, which is pretty cool and cute to see.
Zookeepers say they kept it a secret to make sure both mom and baby are healthy.
We wanted to see how the pregnancy was progressing. As we've been getting ultrasounds, we've been feeling really confident. So we wanted to share it with the public today. We felt like Mother's Day was a great choice for it.
And this is Goma, who's going to be a first-time dad. Zookeepers introduced Goma to Asha in 2016, and it will be the first gorilla birth they have seen in nearly 13 years.
Asha's last kids were with a different silverback, but then after he passed, Goma came to our zoo on a breeding recommendation with Asha in the hopes of having this baby.
When Goma came to the zoo, it was his first time living with females.
He wasn't quite sure what to do with the females, so a lot of keepers worked really hard to teach Goma the skills that he would need to be a successful silverback in the troop.
And her motherly love doesn't stop at baby gorillas.
One of our keepers is about to come back from maternity leave, and she actually brought her baby here the other day at the zoo, and Asha was super interested. She had her bring the baby up, and Asha was licking in the strollers.
Reporting in Colorado Springs, I'm Carolyn Felling, Fox 21 News.
And as someone who just returned from maternity leave herself, what a cute story. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. You can stay up to date on all the stories we are covering online. Just go to westcoastwrap.com and stream all of our shows on your smart TV by downloading the Fox Local app. We'll leave you with this picture tonight. Have a good night.